Hello everybody, James Rink here. Welcome to another edition of Super Soldier Talk. Today I have Ilana with me, and we're going to go in depth into the secret space program, Mars, and some other interesting tidbits of information in the current events that are currently going on right now. And maybe if we get somebody else on here, we can go over some of these pictures you have. Or we can still go over that anyway, of Mars, but let me go ahead and read Ilana's bio. Elana is a star traveler who has lived for billions of years in the universe and has lived for 202 lifetimes, and I think that's way too low, but you're going to have to comment about that. During these lifetimes, the star traveler has existed anywhere from being in a 3D world as a human and living in higher dimensions from 6D to 12D. This being is made from energy of the stars and is experienced living in a human body and also in a light body, which is non-corporeal, therefore can exist in space without needing to travel in a spaceship across the universe. As a being of light in the higher dimensions, the star traveler has the ability to teleport anywhere in space. So, okay, but I'm assuming that's your astral form. Heal other races, impart knowledge, and be an arbitrator to stop wars and make sure there's fairness in the universe. Of course, you mentioned some of that with these experiences you had in Telos,
Yes.
I guess, which is probably recent. And
Yes.
it is the job of the Star Traveler to be the voice of justice and reason as one of the 2,000 guardians and protectors assigned to watch the universe to make sure there is peace on all worlds and benevolent star nation councils and Galactic Confederation or Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
There's also the Galactic Confederation too.
Yeah. Yeah. There is.
Okay, that's quite a mouthful there.
Mhm.
So tell me, in your words, how would you define yourself?
I would define myself as a being that's been all over the place in many different star systems, galaxies, and to clarify the 202 lives, that's just on Earth. That's just
Okay,
the 202 human lifetimes on Earth. I've had thousands of lifetimes, well, elsewhere in the galaxy. So, and this universe is big. So, and my light body is actually not astral travel. It's an actual light body that is, it's a body made out of light that travels in the universe. So it's a separate body from the human one. It's made of light codes, but it's not astral travel. It's not like me going to sleep and, my consciousness goes somewhere else and looks at a planet or something. It's an actual light body, a body that's made out of light that travels around and does its thing, and you can see it. It's yellow, like yellowish white. So you could see the silhouette of the body.
okay. Is that also known as bilocation?
I would say it's more than bilocation. It's an actual body traveling around in space. It's just made out of light. You know the like those sphere orbs, for example, those blue orbs that Corey Good has talked about? You can see them. They're made out of light substance. Except I'm not circular. I'm a full body. It's same kind of body as me, except it's yellow and it glows. It's made out of pure light energy codes. It's not fully corporeal and it's not fully non-corporeal either. It's something in between. So that's a light body. That's an evolving light body.
Yes. Can you share some of your recent experiences? I'm assuming with some of these councils and what they have relayed to you.
Sure. Well, my recent experience is with Anea, the from the L race. She claims to be a descendant of the ancient builder race, and I wouldn't say she's part of any council. They call themselves the L race, and they're located on a big world ship called the Akashen, which is orbiting close by around Earth, and it's half the size of Earth. So basically, Anea took me on Venus recently to view some of the ancient builder race outposts that are still active on Venus. And I saw three different outposts. Two were on Venus and one was in another solar system. So the Venus ones, they looked like they were made out of crystalline technology partially, and the rest of it looked like rock formation. So the outpost itself looked like rock formation with crystalline technology. And the first base looked like it had these crystalline sails around it, or something like that, and it was glowing white blue around the base, and it's huge. It's from the ground down, going up from to the ground up, upwards into the sky. So that was the first base. The other base had multiple levels, like looked like decks or something, different levels going upwards toward the sky again, from the ground down to the build outward to the sky. So, and in the other solar system, it looked like totally like rock formation, like mountain peaks. It was glowing blue. So I suspect the ancient builder race had multiple races. Not It's not just one race; it's multiple species. Because the three outposts didn't look exactly the same to me, and the energy felt different. And then Anea also took me to a crystalline city 13,000 years in the future. That's 13,000 years my future in my future, because my energy is connected to the L race. So that was extraordinary. I was feeling really, really, my health is not the best right now, so I was feeling down energetically. So she took me to the future in the city to give me some healing with the crystalline energy that the city is made out of. And I had a physical body, actual physical body, and so did Anea when the Akashan world ship beamed us down to the city. And it's going into the future, so they have some kind of a slipstream warp technology that can open timelines and actually beam you up from the ship down into the slipstream wormhole technology and beam you to the future. So that's how that worked for us.
Okay, well, let's back up here. You said you went to Venus. I was just curious. I don't know the exact temperature NASA purports Venus to be, but I'm assuming it's probably 400, 500. It's quite almost like an oven. Can you confirm it actually is that hot?
I don't think it's that hot because actual physical beings have gone on to Venus. So you still have to wear a spacesuit, but it's not as hot as they purport it to be. Venus actually had lakes and oceans at one time. So there's
Of
still some,
water?
yeah, it had water at one point, and it still has civilizations living, the Venusians live underground. So Venus is not that hot. Its atmosphere is very thin, so I think they wear some kind of spacesuits though, because the atmosphere is very thin, but it's not 400 and 500 degrees Celsius. That's no.
Okay. Can you confirm that the Valiant Thor story is was accurate? He claims he's from Venus. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I know the story itself. I can't confirm or deny that Valiant Thor came from Venus. I can't. I know the
Okay.
story. Stranger
Right.
at the Pentagon. I know the story that he was beamed down from one of their beam ships onto the Earth, somewhere out in the desert, and then he was transported to the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., where he tried to warn the government to change their ways, to try to give up the weaponry, to try, to not work with the Cabal. And he was with them for about 3 to 4 years. He was a liaison to the government. But in the end, they didn't listen to him and he went back to Venus
Yeah.
basically
And I
because they
think he,
ignored him.
yeah, I think he even offered them some really high dimensional gold, physical bullion, to I guess you could say to bribe them to go along with it. But I guess that wasn't all the money in the world didn't matter if they want their weapons and mass control.
Yeah. I think
Um,
what they were offering them was ships.
oh,
Also
ships. Okay.
ships. It wasn't bullion, it was ships um, in exchange for them giving up the weaponry, the nuclear weapons.
Okay.
And of course, the US didn't do that, so they didn't get the ship technology, the light ship technology.
Okay. But they did. I believe they got some of the bullion from perhaps Mars.
Yes, they did.
200 million tons. I think is that about the right number?
Well, actually, a lot of the gold went to Mars from Earth to finance all those bases, ICC bases. So a lot of Earth's gold went to Mars. Um,
Huh.
yeah. What? what there is they mine the asteroids, the asteroid belt, because that has a lot of gold and silver and other minerals and stuff. So it's rich in mineral content, the asteroid belts. They have mining operations all over in the Kuiper belt and in other areas of the galaxy. So they can get their gold. It's not the truth that the Earth no longer has enough gold. That's just not the truth. Our
Yeah,
solar system has plenty of gold on asteroids, and even Mars has more, not just gold, it has other like plutonium, iridium. Those are very important minerals for building structural stuff. So Mars has a lot of that. Iridium and plutonium and lithium and other, on the mineral scale. So Mars is rich in minerals for building bases and stuff.
what about ancient alien artifacts from abandoned monuments, or is there anything like that on Mars?
Yeah, Mars has a lot of pyramids and obelisks. That's from the original Mars settlers that are still there. Mars has Mars colonies. The original colonists are still on Mars. They're just living underground because the surface was decimated in two various separate battles. So one that happened when Maldak was destroyed, that scarred the surface of Mars. It took its atmosphere away, and there was also another blast where some of the remaining groups that were left on Mars, they tried to actually build technology for light bodies, to have light bodies, and that technology exploded on them, and that's what caused the scar on the surface of Mars, that horrid long scar. It can be seen from telescopes and even on Google Map. That was about 2.6 billion years ago. So Mars,
Billion?
billion, yes, billion.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. The
Hmm.
ancient builder race outposts have been there for billions of years.
Has
So,
has it always been a dry world?
no, it had an atmosphere, it had trees, lakes, oceans, until those two disasters. First one was the explosion of Maldak, which basically eradicated Mars's atmosphere. And the second disaster was what scarred Mars because a lot of heavy weaponry was imploded on Mars when they tried to use the technology to create light bodies.
Okay. Can you comment on where the oceans disappeared to?
They evaporated because once an atmosphere is eradicated from a planet, its oceans evaporate. Because without an atmosphere, without trees, without vegetation, water evaporates. And Mars also has been exposed to some meteors and stuff like that. It's been exposed to so much and it's been scarred, so the oceans have evaporated. There is still water on the north and south poles, so there is water on Mars. It's just all in ice.
Okay. Now, if you zoom into some of the equatorial regions on Mars, there is a canyon there that if you zoom in, it looks like there's green growing along the bottom of this canyon. I'm assuming it's probably tropical climate. Um, can you confirm there actually is vegetation?
There is vegetation on Mars and there is a thin atmosphere on Mars. So in some regions, you can walk there without a spacesuit. There's small trees. It's not like hulking huge trees. It's small vegetation, small animals as well.
Okay. Do you think there are any? You think any of these trees on Mars can actually be found on Earth? Like at one point, someone brought them here, or maybe brought them from Earth to Mars?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because when Maldek was destroyed, a lot of the Mars colonists went to Earth as refugees. And I wouldn't be surprised if many of the races, the 22 genetic races that tinkered with our DNA, if they had vegetation put on Mars as well from Earth and vice versa. Five.
Okay, hello everybody. So through the magic of video editing, we have materialized another individual on this phone call. So Adrian finally made it. And Adrian, I was waiting for you to send me your bio, so you're gonna have to tell us who you are. Can you give us some background
Well,
about yourself?
my name is Adrian, and I work with sacred geometry, and I work with certain codes that I use to help integrate people and to help burn off any types of programming or alien implants I use to help people in that way. I'm also a psychic medium, and I'm also a clairvoyant and channeler. And I also work with James on working with the codes and along with the AI.
Great. Thank you, Adrian, for sharing that. So, just to give you a little update of what we've discussed already, we've talked about Mars, why it was destroyed, some of the wars. Well, I guess it was experiments. You didn't. You mentioned Maldak, but you didn't say why that was destroyed. So was that a war?
Yes, it was a war. There was some AI infiltration in Maldak, and technologically they got way ahead of themselves. And at first, when these guys weren't advanced at first, but it's similar to what happened to Atlantis. As technologically they got advanced, they were offered more technology, and in the end, they were one side and the other side was warring with each other, and it just exploded because they had technology that could cause earthquakes, could cause tectonic shifts, pole shifts, and by using that technology they basically destroyed their planet.
Okay. And when was that? When did that take place? You think? I mean, how many years ago?
I think a couple of billion years ago. I don't have exact time frames for it, but it was billion years ago.
Okay. Because I heard there was something maybe 500,000 years ago, something seriously bad happened on Mars, and a lot of people were evacuated to planet Earth.
Yeah,
Can you
I yeah, I think you see I have a hard time with timelines. Now, there were two issues on Mars. One was where they were basically warring with each other and Maldak was destroyed and it removed Mars's atmosphere. And the second one was where the planet was scarred with that canyon where the scar is. That was about 2.6 billion years ago. So, timelines, there's two things that happened on Mars. I have a hard time with dating that. So, if it says 500,000 years ago that Maldak was destroyed, then we'll go with that because, like I said, it's a lot of history, and I'm aware of more the ancient builder race that they were here 2.6 billion years ago, and something happened on Mars at that time.
Okay. Now, I was just curious, what race of humans on this planet originated from Mars?
From this planet,
Yeah, which race on this planet originated from Mars?
I would have
Were
to say the
one of the
reptilians.
evacuees?
The reptilians we had on this planet, on Earth, we had many native reptilians that used to live here, and they still live here, and they live on Mars as well. They migrated to Mars. So there's a lot of native reptilians on Mars and insectoids as well. The other colonies are all human. It's humans. We look human, they look human. There's also some ant people on Mars, humanoid ant looking species, and ape species that are red.
Okay. So, but during the history of Mars, were there any human races during
Yes,
that?
yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
that's what I was wondering. What do they were they like black skin, white skin, fair skin, blue skin? Do you
it's a
have any information?
mixture. It's a mixture of olive skin, olive looking skin, some Asian, white, and something in between. So I think there was about four different colonies.
Okay.
It's not
And
like we
Adrian,
have on Earth.
yeah, Adrian, if you want to interject anything, please feel free to do so. Do you have any information on that? Anything you to elaborate or? No?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. All right. So now you mentioned about this weapon about they were trying to create light bodies. So
Yes.
I'm assuming they were doing that. Okay, so they were probably violating some kind of universal laws,
Yes, they
most likely.
were they were violating all planets have human rights, universal laws, and they were playing around with a lot of AI technology on Mars, one of the groups, one of the Mars colonists, and that caused a second disaster. So Mars has been through two disasters. And the stuff, hey, it look what kind of a scar it made on Mars. It's a huge scar. You could see it on the surface of the planet. So, and it was nuclear based technology, some kind of laser nuclear technology that they were using. And that it went kaboom. So that could have destroyed the planet for a second time. But
I
obvious.
Yeah, some remote viewers describe it as an explosion that was so large it engulfed the whole planet in flames, like a thermonuclear bomb that just burned everything up.
Yeah, I would say so. Something like that. Because the explosion could be seen from space when it happened. It was a huge mushroom cloud.
Do
And
you Okay. Well,
yeah.
do you think I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay. Well, do you think the individuals that were responsible for that experiment later incarnated into Atlantis and caused some mischief there? What?
I wouldn't be surprised if those souls were trapped in an incarnation cycle and went to Atlantis and Lemuria. Because Atlantis, according to history, that was 26,000 years ago. I think Atlantis existed for 2 million years. And Lemuria, try that one on for size. Because it doesn't feel like only 26,000 years. Atlantis existed for much longer.
Yeah, I think what the major cataclysm, or at least the first one, was 26,000 years ago. And then there was a series of three major earthquakes which split up the island or continent. And ultimately, the last one was like 11,000 BC or BCE.
Yeah,
Uh,
like I said, I'm horrid with dates, so I know my
okay.
basic history of dates. I know that Atlantis has existed for 2 million years because the Agartha groups, the Anshar and the Inner Earth groups, have claimed to be here for 17 to 18 million years. They claim to be originally from here, and they probably lived in Atlantis and Lemuria as well. They had
Yeah.
interactions with them.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because you said you've been to Telos recently.
Yes,
Uh,
yeah.
and and you met with this council, and I didn't get the rest of the story, but I guess you were discussing what humanity's future.
Well, yeah, the first meeting happened in 2006 actually, when I had no idea about who I was or who I am. So the first meeting happened in 2006 and they had 100 to 200 delegates dressed in white robes and the council of 13 entered into the meeting and they were wearing brown robes and we couldn't see their faces because it's the council of 13 Lemurian elders. That's what they called themselves to me. I have a suspicion that it's separate groups because they are divided into 7 groups. So I have a suspicion that I met 2 groups of them. The ones in the white were Anshar, and the ones in the brown, it's hard to speculate. Not sure who they were, but they were pretty important because we couldn't see their faces. So they wish to remain in secrecy somewhat. So I just have to question that one. And so that was my first experience with them. And they were talking about how the reptilians, the Draco and the Draza reptilians, how they had this cannon technology, cannon weaponry on their ships. And they were trying to destroy library repository bases on planets and bases out on stations. So they were trying to stop that from happening, to figure out a way to stop those ships from having the cannon weaponry, plasma cannon weaponry. So that's what they were discussing in that meeting and how to shield those planets and bases with the knowledge repositories.
Okay. But not all these reptilians are bad because
No.
recently Now I know you're not the one who said this. It was actually Captain Max. Was it Max Steele? Is that his name? Um, he said the recent SpaceX explosion it contained an Israeli satellite, but that was destroyed. And do you have any information about that?
Well, some are you sure it was Captain Max Steel? They're saying it
Yeah.
was Corey Good as well, that his name is being bandied about in there too.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Max Steele, he said something about a group of rogue reptilians destroyed it because they were trying to protect us from my labs who were doing something really bad with that satellite. But maybe you have a different version of events?
Well, I'm intuitive empath, so I'm using my intuitive skills to triangulate what happened. So the satellite itself was some kind of a electrical grid technology that would have gone up in space, and it would have blanketed half of the planet and blocked certain communications as well. So it's not just a weapon. It was for communications blockage too, to prevent communication between satellites. So it might have disrupted some communications here on Earth, cell phones, stuff like that, satellite signals. So this thing, and it could be fired as a weapon too in space to disrupt other satellites. That's what I'm intuitively getting.
Okay.
Wow.
And Adrian, what are you picking up?
Feels like it from what I pick up is it can connect to other parallel realities too. Open
And
up portals.
do you know what group was behind this satellite, other than just the Israelis? Is there a certain corporation,
Well,
perhaps?
it's Zuckerman's satellite. It's Facebook's satellite. So, and he's like, well,
That's the public front.
yeah. Well, I think it has a
Okay.
connection with Facebook because Facebook realistically connects all of us together, right? We're asking each other to be friends. We're asking each other for interviews. We're asking each other for information on Facebook. We have public profiles. So if that satellite had gone up, it would have allowed Facebook to data mine us even more than it does now. So I'm I wouldn't be surprised if they had a huge upgrade plan for Facebook to do virtual reality or something like that with this satellite.
Okay. All right. So, unless Adrian, you want to interject there, I think we can move on to.
Does it come from another planet? Would you say, or
The satellite, or who attacked the satellite itself, the technology?
the satellite?
I think it's reverse engineered technology that the elites have been working with, and they invested a lot of money into it for it to go up. But obviously, either the reptilians or one of the SSP groups or even alliance groups, Earth Alliance, didn't want it going up. It's hard to speculate because nobody's really claiming which group did it, so it's hard to speculate who destroyed it. Some people are
Yeah.
even saying there was birds in the background and there was nothing in the footage of even remotely of UFOs. So
Wow.
it's mixed signals here. Some are saying it was just an explosion and it's a freak anomaly. A lot of people in the exopolitics movement are saying it was one of the SSP rogue groups that destroyed it. So I think it was destroyed by an SSP group, but I don't the bird thing, I think there were some birds flying around in that footage. So it's hard to say, like, it's hard to really see a UFO in there that went and destroyed the thing. It's hard to see a UFO, at least for me. When I saw the footage, I didn't see any UFO passing by, zooming in and destroying it. I heard birds and I saw birds twittering. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I'm going intuitively by what I'm reading, what happened in this situation, because
What you're saying.
I don't just trust what I'm hearing on the internet. So for me,
I agree.
you know, it's a lot of rumors and propaganda about what really happened.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Well, moving on here. So the next question is, this pertains to a recent video released by Simon Parks that Germany issued a response for us to, or for German citizens to store food and water for up to 2 weeks. I don't know. He said in preparation for a natural disaster, but that's the German, the government response. But what is your response? What do you think? Why would Germany issue something like that?
Well, it wasn't just in their statement, it wasn't just a natural disaster. It was to prepare for a natural catastrophe or for a terror plot. It was two things. They said two things: natural catastrophe, disaster, or a terror plot. And did you guys hear that Angela Merkel was almost assassinated? That her barricade was attacked?
No.
Simon Parks mentioned that in his 1.5 hour interview with Carrie Cassidy on Project Camelot. He went into the full story. So basically,
Wow.
and I'm going from what their story is saying, and also what I'm intuitively feeling. Basically, the U.S. chapter of the Cabal said to Germany, "We're gonna plan a false flag event in your country, and we're gonna cause some chaos, and your country will be the first point of entry if World War III happens, because World War I and II happened through Germany. It started in Germany." So they wanted to instigate that again. That was the plan. But Angela Merkel said, "No, thank you. I'm no longer going to be following your edicts and what you tell me to do," because many of the governments are just frustrated with all of these false flag events and stuff. So she said no, and a week later, her motorcade was attacked, and a guy tried to assassinate her, and he was arrested. He was taken away in handcuffs. And it was made public. It was on TV. So, and after she was attacked, that's when they issued the food. First it was for 10 days, now it's for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, to have enough food and water. Finland has also issued the warning, so has Romania. There's even been speculation that Obama issued the warning. I've heard something about that Obama issued the warning to people as well. So, and what I understand is that the Cabal has plans for a few different targets of attack. First was Germany, but they're not having any of it. California is a large target as well, from what Simon said and from what Carrie was saying in their interview. The funny thing is, 2 weeks ago, I got a vision that the Cabal were planning a massive purge on Earth somewhere to eradicate half of the human population. So I got this vision, and I saw chemical warfare, I saw a lot of fires, eruptions, I saw a lot of chaos. So something exploded somewhere. I don't have a specific location, but it was with chemical weaponry that they hit somewhere.
Are you picking up on anything on that, Adrian?
Intuitively, I'm picking up that she's correct. Yeah.
Well,
That's
where
what
do you
my
think
guy said.
where do you think this
Yeah.
explosion? What target area you think it may occur?
I don't have a specific target. I saw a broad general plan to get rid of half of the population. I'm assuming this was targeted plan for Europe, because they wanted to start with Germany. Like, I saw this 2 weeks later, like 2 weeks before, sorry, 2 weeks before. 2 weeks later, I hear Simon Parks with this urgent announcement. So I'm assuming Germany. Either
Okay.
Germany or California. Because we have to keep in mind, the Cabal have weapons that can, they have weaponry that can cause earthquakes, that can cause natural disasters. So I wouldn't surprise if DARPA and HARPA have little plan for some earthquake for California to set off the San Andreas Fault. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was if Plan A doesn't work in Germany, Plan B will just stabilize California. Why not?
And what about the Teleusians? I mean, they're in California. They're near this. Well, maybe not near the San Andreas Fault, but sure. Don't
They're
they want to have a say in any of this?
they're underground, so I wouldn't. They're deep underground, and they survived the Atlantis cataclysm. They've survived a lot of stuff. I think the reptilians, some of the reptilians that are hiding out in inner Earth that are closer to the surface of the planet, they'd be the ones that jumping out like ants from their underground bases. If this thing went down if the San Andreas is set off by one of these weapons, laser weapons for weather modification weapons, that's what it's called. If they set off DARPA or HARPA, I think the reptilians would be crawling out like ants from their bases that are closer to the surface of the planet near California.
Okay. Well, I guess the moral of the
Wow.
story is that we should all just be prepared. Just not only if you just live in Germany or California, but anywhere in the U.S., Canada, maybe UK. What about Australia, New Zealand? They're probably going to be okay.
I say prepare for everywhere. This should be all the governments should be issuing this warning because the cabal is trigger happy right now. They're running. They're afraid because one of the SSP groups is planning full disclosure. I've been giving some info on that. That they're testing out some technology that's planning a mass worldwide announcement. Even if the cabal cut out the internet, pull the kill switch on the internet, they could still do a satellite, some kind of a broadcast where your cell phones, your TV, everything that's capable of broadcasting a signal will be reactivated and they would do an announcement. So they're planning something like that. And these cabal guys, I think they're afraid of this. They'll do anything, World War III, economic collapse, anything just to distract us from, learning the truth. That's what energetically I'm reading, why the cabal is doing all of this stuff, like trying to World War III, economic collapse, anything, just anything to distract us from what's really going on. Disclosure.
Okay, good. Well, at this point, I'm going to read some information about the secret space program, and you're welcome to interject if you want to add anything to it, or you could just wait till I'm done. It's basically like about 5 paragraphs here. Yeah.
Did
Yes,
they
Adrian?
say when all this? I was just gonna ask her. Did they say when all this is gonna take place, or?
Yeah, between September and October. Uh, yeah. Well,
Good question.
I have a contact with the Dark Fleet. His name is Zagor. He's reptilian insectoid. He was the one that warned me what the Cabal was planning. And after he said they were going to do a massive purge, that's when I got the vision. So he was the original one that alerted me to this. I have to be honest. I have a contact in the Dark Fleet. He's a liaison to the Dark Fleet. So, and he was saying this is wrong. The whole purge is wrong. He's not 100% good or evil, but even he thought this was wrong because when you're desperate, you're gonna hit some kill switches, unfortunately. So he warned me. He said, have enough food, have enough water, and also make sure you don't have too much money in your bank account because they're gonna take all your money.
They were saying.
Yeah.
We'll do a like bail-in
Yeah,
scenario.
worse than a bail-in. If there's total economic collapse, they're just gonna take all of your money just to reopen the banks 3 weeks later. So it's not a bail-in, it's a bail-out, basically a bail-out plan that they have, and that's again end of September, October that they were planning. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it might, the way things are going. Like, I certainly don't have any more stuff in my bank account because this happened to me in Russia, in the Ukraine, in the 1980s, where Ukraine was, it separated, the states all separated the countries. And my parents were begging for money to trade money for food. And they couldn't. And they were waiting in long lineups just to buy food. So we have enough water, we have enough food, and we certainly are not keeping much in the bank anymore because if this all happens, at least we're prepared. this time
Yeah.
around.
Apparently, the Dragon family has been subsidizing or paying for the food stamp program here in the United States, and I'm not quite sure what kind of program is in Canada, but they're probably also subsidizing that because
Yeah.
right now the Cabal and all their money has been frozen, so they're getting pretty desperate.
They are getting
Uh,
desperate.
okay, well, can you explain the difference between the Dark Fleet and the Fleet? If I
The,
said that right.
the
The ROM fleet.
Okay, I know what the Dark Fleet is. I'm not sure what you're talking about in the ROM fleet.
Okay, RUAMFLETTE.
No, I
It's
haven't.
it's the German. I'm sorry, the Nazi, the group. I guess their Dark Fleet, probably in the other parallel universe. That they're not in
Okay.
this one.
Okay, well, the
Okay.
Dark Fleet basically is a bunch of military, and they're hardcore military. Some of them have been pulled out from the Nazi groups as well. So they have a few different groups together. They're hardcore. They travel around with the reptilians. They're human. They're all human in the Dark Fleet. They don't let reptilians on their ships. They have liaisons. The reptilians are their liaisons. They're given orders by the liaisons, but the liaisons are not on their ships at all. The Dark Fleet, basically, they have a lot of scientists. They do a lot of genetic experiments as well. They back engineered their own spacecraft as well. They have their own cities, even. They've been locked out of our solar system, but they've settled other solar systems. I've seen one of their cities. So they're good. They're okay. They have a lot of weapons. They have their own colonies that are shielded on the planet, so you can't even see anything, what's going on. It's heavily shielded. All their bases on planets are heavily shielded. So these guys, they're ruthless. They don't play around. They want something, they take it. It's mostly men, but there are some women in the Dark Fleet. And it's equal parts, so they have a lot of psionic abilities. They have the most advanced developed psionic abilities out of the ICC and the SSP groups. They're Darth Vader 10 times worse, if you can imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
A lot of weaponry. They do their own weaponry developments from what I was able to see. Their cities are self-sufficient. They really don't rely on the ICC or the SSP anymore to get their technology or resources. They're self-sufficient now. So they're basically a group and a law unto their own now.
Where do they get the money to pay for the creation of their cities?
It's not money, it's trade. It's all trade. The ICC backed them up at one point. So they got stuff from the ICC and they reverse engineered it, and now they're doing their own stuff. They have their own trade agreements, their own trade routes. So they're totally independent from the ICC and the SSP. They wanted for the longest time their own infrastructure, and the reptilians are also giving them technology for exchange with conquering other worlds. So they're doing trade with the reptilians, trade for services, for their time and their fleet resources.
Yeah. So what do the other extraterrestrials think of humanity, that how we have this one group that sort of, I mean, they got all this technology and they're having their breakaway civilization, but here us on the surface, we're suffering. What do they think about us in general?
They don't think much of us because we're not even in the know about what's really going on. We don't know about these programs. Many people are walking around not even aware of what's going on. Many people don't even.
And if you talk about it, they'll think you're delusional.
Yeah, that's fine. People can think what they want. I know my truth. I know what happened to me, and I know I'm not delusional. I couldn't make any of this up even if I wanted to. It's too far crazy, too far out for me to make any of this up. So,
Okay.
Wow.
And Adrian,
Yeah.
do you have any comments you want to throw in there?
I guess what I'd like to know is what is your feeling on how people would respond to that, the public, the general public?
If they found out?
Yeah,
if we were given disclosure, you mean?
yeah.
I think most of the people would be just fine with it. Because really, what century we're living in? We're in the 21st century, not the 18th or 19th century. People are
Right.
aware of UFOs. People have, it's on Fox News. Soft disclosure is everywhere. It's, I see it in the alternative news media. I see it on Facebook. I see it on Fox News, for Pete's sake. Oh, UFOs. You know, it's a phenomenon. Even Hillary Clinton mentioned it. She made it very
Right.
popular.
And also look at the Star Wars and the Star Trek genre. Those are extremely popular in the science fiction area. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would resonate with this and be open to it
Well,
if they were given a chance.
yeah, it's Star Wars,
I
Star
love it.
Trek. There's a show called Killjoys as well. There's Blind Spot. There's another show that came out this year and last year where it takes place on Mars. Like, do you guys know what that show was? It really talks about the secret space programs between Earth
Do you
and
know
Mars.
what was the name?
I can't remember. It's a really good show. It's about a guy who was traveling on a freighter ship, and his freighter ship was destroyed because he learned some information. He had some info that he shouldn't have, and then he was transferred onto
That
a
sounds
Mars
familiar
fleet
to
ship.
me. That
And
does sound familiar.
yes, it's very
I watch a
popular.
lot of movies, so
Yeah, and the girl,
yeah.
one of the girls there, she went into she went on a into an asteroid belt, and she went on a secret program, and she was injected with some technology, AI technology, and it killed her. So
Oh
it's,
wow.
yeah, it's a really interesting show. And one of the investigator agents who was trying to find this girl, he fell in love with her and was so obsessive. He was based on a space station, so he took off from the space station because he was blocked from doing his investigation, and traveled to another space station where he found her dead body. It was literally crystallized.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Was
it's
the
a
show called The Expanse?
The Expanse. You got it.
Yeah,
Now
I've
that's
seen that one.
We're
Yeah.
all gonna need to watch that.
Yeah, now that's really telling us what's going on between the Earth Alliance and
Yeah.
what's going on with this SSPs on Mars. And it
That
wasn't
goes
even,
into a lot.
Okay, all right. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and read this summary about the secret space program, a little background information, which is what I should have done before we even started. For at least the listeners out there who have no idea that there is a space fleet, and even the ones that do, you'll learn something new from this. So, all right. So, this was actually from, I think, Alfred Lamont Weber. This is a summary from his information, but he says, if you recall the story of Captain Randy Kramer, aka Captain K, he claims that he spent 17 years from 1987 to 2004 in an elite military unit that protected Martian citizens near Ares Primus, headquarters of the MCC, which is the Mars Colony Corporation, and the MDF, the Mars Defense Force. His testimony suggests that NASA is lying to us that the atmosphere is 96% CO2 with trace amounts of O2, or 0.15% of O2. Apparently, the air on Mars is very breathable. It is similar to a warm day at an altitude of 8,000 to 9,000 feet on Earth, with thriving animal and plant ecosystems. Now, I'm guessing that's probably the equatorial regions, because in the Arctic areas, there's ice, it gets cold. But, okay, going on here, it says, in the 1940s, the Nazis used secret space technology to colonize the moon and equatorial regions on Mars. But there was a huge electrical storms that wreaked havoc on their electronics in the equatorial regions. So they relocated to more northern and southern latitudes. Eventually, the Germans settled in ancient lava tube systems. But they were not alone. There were fierce territorial battles between insectoid and reptilian races. In 1952, the Germans was prepared to release advanced technology for public consumption. And when I say the Germans, it was probably the Nazi faction of the Germans that broke away in Antarctica. But the U.S. government instead chose to go into business with them to keep the secret technology for themselves. So a merger took place between the U.S. shadow government and the Nazis in the now growing massive military-industrial complex led by MJ-12, set up by Eisenhower, Eisenhower in 1958. And if you listen to any of my other interviews with Peter, as well as some of the others, there's a strong Nazi overtone in a lot of the super soldier projects, and that's where this all comes in. These Nazi military contractors. But going on here, around the mid-1970s, this group created the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, or short for ICC, which we were talking about earlier, tasked with running Mars colonies and acquiring technologies by any means. And that may be the moon colonies. I don't know, Ilana, you may want to comment on that. Nothing was left off the table that they were willing to trade. And I'm assuming that means even human DNA and maybe even people as food source. Around this time also appeared the Mars Defense Force and the Mars Colony Corporation. To fund all this, an unofficial black project budget was set up, which was reported to be 1.7 trillion US dollars per year between 1998 and 2000. And there, okay, so on you, all right. Well, so I was going to go talk about the cloaked space stations, but does anybody have any information to comment about what I just said?
Well, I think it was the Germans in Antarctica that forced the US to work with them and not vice versa. It was the Germans because the US with Admiral Byrd had gone, they sent a fleet to Antarctica to try to stop the Nazi SSP group because they had their own secret Nazi group already, space agency that in Antarctica, space bases in Antarctica. Well, their Earth bases, sorry, and they basically stopped Admiral Byrd. He couldn't complete the mission because all the UFOs flew out from Antarctica. The Nazi UFOs flew out from Antarctica, basically counterattacked Admiral Byrd and his fleet. And all they had was normal, air carrier craft and ships and stuff. So they were stopped, and then the Nazi groups basically went to the U.S. and told them, "Look, you're going to subsidize us. We're going to do this." And what is now the ICC, the SSP, all those groups branched out from the U.S. side. I wouldn't be surprised if it's from Russia as well and other countries like China.
Okay. Well, the only thing else I could add to that is in 1952 there was a bunch of UFOs that stormed Washington D. Well, they stormed. They were flew over Washington D.C. and those were the Nazi crafts from Antarctica. That was when they started putting pressure on the U.S. government. So essentially, the Nazis, although they lost the war on the public front, on the private, I guess, in the secret programs, they still won. And they even, because they were getting technology from the Nordics, at least for a time, until the Nordics pulled away support. But there's another parallel reality where the Nazis didn't kill the Jews and all these other undesirables of the population. And they just chose to put them in work camps instead. And in that timeline, the Nordics continued to give them technology, and they won the war in all means and purposes. And in that particular timeline, they have been given the word to annex us by 2023. And in that timeline, they didn't suppress all these amazing technologies, and the people there are extremely advanced. So I'm sure it's probably got the ICC a little bit concerned. I don't know if any discussion has been brought forward. Have you heard about any of this, Ilana?
Oh, I've heard something similar about it, about an alternate timeline and an alternate Earth. So I've heard about it. But it's hard to say. Like, I don't speculate on alternate time frames and timelines. I really concentrate about what's going on right now here in this timeline, in this reality. Because this reality is what is happening right now is important. I mean, we don't have disclosure. We have all of these, we have the SSP, we have the ICC, we have the Earth and Alliance, we have the the Earth Industrial Military Complex. We have so many groups mucking about in our history right now. And we have the Cabal, so we have the Illuminati. We have so many groups that
I
are
don't know.
trying to make a decision for us how it's all going to go down. I'm concentrating on what's happening now to make sure that we get disclosure, to make sure we have all of this technology available for us at some point. Because let's face it, we need it. We have chemtrails, we have GMOs, we have all kinds of warfare going on.
Fluoride.
Yeah, we have so much stuff right now going on that we need to fix. Our air is polluted. China can't branch off anymore and expand because their air is so polluted. Our oceans
That's
and
right.
waters are filled with garbage. We have so many landfills. Our sewage systems aren't working correctly. We have to focus on this planet, cleaning this planet up.
And these problems would have been cleared up if we didn't spend so much money building up the ICC.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we got disclosure in 2000, say, we wouldn't have any of this issues. And the thing is, the governments are so scared how people will react when disclosure happens. Because when you disclose, right, you have this huge secret that was kept from us. So what the governments are worried about is people going after them with pitchforks.
Adrian, do you have anything you want to comment about that?
That all sounds interesting. I do believe that that's very true, because I was actually hearing somebody talk about that on the radio this morning. So that's actually very true.
Okay. Well, I do want.
Yeah.
I want to mention that George Soros has recently come out and said that Hillary Clinton is going to win the Electoral College, and even though Donald Trump's going to win the popular vote, and and if you know anything about Hillary Clinton, it appears that her, along with Angela Merkel, were both daughters of Adolf Hitler, or at least been monkeyed around with in their genetics. So who's to say who's gonna really win after all? No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Continue on. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. Hillary Clinton is an interesting individual. If you guys have watched any of her latest interviews and stuff, have you noticed her acting really weird?
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah.
The video that has almost 6 million hits now on YouTube, where she was wearing this blue suit, she was holding a coffee mug, and when she was asked a bunch of questions by the reporter, she started going off like that one. It has 6 million views now. So that was the first one, and then when the convention, they had the DMC convention for her, when the balloons went off, she was acting like that. So people are speculating either it's a clone, she has a brain injury, she has seizures. People are speculating what's going on with Hillary Clinton, because all of this behavior is being recorded live on camera. It's on YouTube.
Now that's interesting you'd say that as she's wearing a blue dress, because they were saying that that they were going to do a ritual with her wearing a blue dress and being blown up by a bomb. And I was telling James that I had a dream of Hillary, and she, long before this election or whatever, that she was planning on building a bomb. I don't know what that entailed. Yeah.
Well, I had a vision of her on the timeline. She was this blue scorpion climbing up successfully on the timeline. And then she fell off the timeline because something happened. The scorpion fell off the timeline. And when I went to check her astrological chart, she's a Scorpio rising. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
The Scorpion fell off the timeline. I wonder what that's about. All the dirt that's being dished about her by Julian Assange. He's claiming that he's going to release some massive data dump that'll remove her from the election. There's all this stuff going on with the Clinton Foundation, where four of the workers there have been arrested, and people who have tried to testify against her have died. So I'm not surprised if she's fighting for all she has to protect herself and to keep on going in this candidacy. And Donald Trump is just being Donald Trump. He says all outrageous, crazy things. And even Julian Assange said he can't keep up with him because he makes his own way. Donald Trump makes his own way. There's nothing really, no photo on him to dish dirt, because he just makes it up as he goes along.
Mm-hmm.
And the other timeline where the Nazis won the war in all fronts, Donald Trump was became really high up in the Nazi party. So I just thought that out there. He loved his role as a Nazi, but I'm not saying he's a Nazi in this timeline. You know, everybody can be different, but just saying, if he was given the chance and if it was accepted by the public, he probably would fall into that role.
I don't think so. He's very charismatic. He's a businessman. He makes charisma. He likes to show himself off on TV. He's just a very charismatic person who likes to make a scene, just for the heck of doing a scene, just so he's seen. It's publicity for him, plain and simple. If he was president, it would just be status quo. Oh heck, make more money. If we have a stable economy, it makes me money. So why ruin the economy? I just want to make money. I just want to have business. He is a business person at heart. That's what he does. Make more money, keep the economy stable, not let the cabal, derail the money system. I think he'd try to keep it stable.
Oh.
For him, business as usual is the status quo. Nothing happens. There's no explosions. There's no false flags. There's no disruptions. America is great. The status quo.
Okay. Well, we certainly could go down this route a little bit longer, but I don't know. Adrian, did you want to throw something out there?
No, I just thought I heard somebody's voice talking. That was really weird.
Yeah. Well, Ilana, we've been
Last
having.
time we were kind of getting weird noises.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So last time we've done some phone conversations, and we're hearing strange beeps in this on the audio. We hear another woman coming in the audio, so I'm not sure what's going on here. The Grays or something is tapping in, but we haven't had any issue with Skype, hopefully, but I don't want to jinx it yet. So let me continue on here. Okay, so this is going back to the ICC, and this is from your website, Ilana. You said there are 20 ICC cloaked stations currently in our galaxy. I'm not sure if you meant galaxy or solar system, but I'm going to...
I mean our Milky Way galaxy.
Okay. The first 3 cloaked stations are orbiting around Earth. They are research facilities learning how to create sustainable living environments in outer space for long-term travel to faraway galaxies. These 3 stations do research on how to successfully create hydroponics and aquaponics gardens on spaceships and stations, as well as studying how bacteria and viruses survive in different space environments. The 6 stations around Mars are building warships for interstellar defense of the Milky Way galaxy. There are 4 stations around Jupiter, 2 near Saturn, 3 near Venus, 1 beside Pluto, and the last one out of the 20 near Uranus. I'm not sure what you mean by that. The areas of space.
A couple of ones are near Uranus.
Okay. The areas of space where there are less stations located, it means that these minor stations are used for doing spy recon missions on what other space programs are building and doing in our galaxy. And do you think they watch our shows?
I probably wouldn't be surprised if they do. I think I'm monitored 24/7 on what I say and do. I think the SSP monitors me And
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. Well, hello there, if you are. Okay. Um, okay. These stations have world engines made from plasma generators, so they can travel out in space, and they are not necessarily stationary.
Yeah, they
All
can
right.
move. They could be moved in places and spots because if geopolitically or something happens on this planet or on Mars, these stations could be moved around to to assist or to block whatever needs to happen. These stations are not just stationary; they do move around.
Okay. All right. So I guess my question is to you is with all these stations, and I'm going to put an image up on the screen and people get an idea what you think that they look like.
Yep.
Um, so are all these stations a modern phenomena built within the last 50, 60 years?
Yeah, some of them are lower SSP technology, and some of them are more advanced SSP technology. The ones that are in Earth orbit, closer to Earth orbit, are lower SSP. The Mars Orbiter Station, it's ICC, that's very advanced technology.
Okay. And so we're still supporting them financially?
The lower SSPs probably yes, they're space stations yes. The ICC ones no, they're
Okay.
self-sustainable. The ICC is financially stable on its own. They do a lot of trade, so their space stations are separate from the SSP ones.
Okay. And I was curious, have you ever heard of the station called Jupiter Command?
Yes, I've heard of it. I've never been there myself, but it's beside the Ganymede trading portal.
Yeah, because the reason I'm bringing that up is because apparently I'm stationed there in 2180, I think. I'm not stationed there. Maybe I am. My clone is. I don't know. What do they do on Jupiter Command?
Well, like Randy Kramer was saying, they have a lot of different ET species come in for trade negotiations and bargaining and planning. So that's what they do. It's mainly a trading station because Jupiter Command Space Station is located beside the Ganymede trading portal. So they do a lot of trade negotiations, trade routes, also division of territory. This is my territory, this is your territory. Let's get some trading routes in here. Let's get some agreements in. There's a lot of different species that come in there to do that.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you for answering that. So I think this is probably a good point to pull up these images. So I'll try to figure out how to do this.
Screen
Um,
share.
screen. Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna
if
screen
we do
share.
that, we'll record the screen.
Yeah, we'll record your screen, what you have on your computer,
Okay.
because it's
Let me
Skype
make sure.
screen sharing.
Okay. And I guess you'll be able to see it too.
I
All right.
should,
So
yeah. If you
here.
screen share it with me and Adrian, and we would.
All right. Well, hopefully you're seeing my screen.
Yes, I'm seeing your screen, but I'm not seeing Adrian anymore.
Well,
That's okay. Once you
yeah, it's
close it
okay.
off.
Okay, so Adrian, if you want to interject here, feel free. This is
Okay.
actually where we're asking your help here. So we're this obviously is the moon. Um, what part of the moon is this at? We're looking at here, Lunar Operations
Yeah,
Command.
it's top side where the moon orbiter landed.
Okay,
It's top portion of the moon.
and so I guess it's what under is it all right underneath this pin?
Yes, it's in the crater.
That okay.
That's a
So
crater.
Adrian, are you picking up on anything in that location?
With the base.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see underground facility. Um, I see uh, like a elevator that goes down. Like it's like it's like a tunnel, like an elevator tunnel that goes all the way down to underground. It's like an underground base. Um, there's multiple bases there. I see in one base. I see multiple bases.
Very good. Yes. Some of it is on top. The lunar command has this dome-shaped outer perimeter glass
Yeah,
encased on top
that's
of
what
the
I thought.
crater, and then it goes
Yeah.
underground. And you're right, there's another facility, research facility, right next door in the other crater towards the light on the left-hand side, upwards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's marked
That's
in
what I
another
saw.
image.
So are some of these facilities extremely ancient?
No, this is SSP, Lunar Operations Command. This is our
All right.
facilities on the moon.
All right. Well, do you want me to move on to another image?
Sure, it's the SSP basis and ICC basis on
All
the moon
right.
and Mars. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the main Lunar Operations Command. That's what we're seeing.
Okay.
Where most of the SSP ships dock before they go off to other places, like Mars and other planets in our solar system. As well, it is where the Alliance spaceships as well dock. It's
Is
it's
there
a
an huh?
it's a midway base. It's a midway base. You know, like where they're organizing stuff. Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? So it's logistics, like making sure your flight plan is filed. You have to file it with the Lunar Operations Command before you go elsewhere.
Okay. And is there an atmosphere on the moon?
Um,
Not necessarily a breathable one, but
there is more of an artificial atmosphere on the moon.
so can you see a sky on the horizon, or is that
You can see a gray sky.
okay? All right. So now we're looking at Mars, and obviously it looks like NASA's been doing some covering up here, um, some distortions in the image.
No, that's the pole. That's just because when you zoom in, it's not a distortion. It's ice caps.
Okay. All right. So if something says Lemuria, can you explain? I can't see what's underneath the pen there.
It says
Or
Mars Colony 1. What's underneath is just what NASA has geographically called these places. You just want to see what the pin says in the big letters.
okay, Adrian. So what do you think is underneath that pen there in that circle? Which is what? Probably a crater
It's a crater.
with something.
Yeah, it's a
Or under?
crater. I see a ship in that base. Um, yeah, I see a lot of ships there.
Do you see a dome, or is it all underground?
It's all underground.
And can you tell what group is down there?
I see the Primanuses.
Okay.
But there's another alien race that goes down in that tunnel. There's a tunnel there. I don't know how far the tunnel goes, but there's definitely a tunnel, and there's definitely I don't see multiple bases like the other one. This one's a little bit different.
Okay. Ilana,
It's
do you have
actually
any? Go ahead.
yeah, I have some input on this. It's a Mars colony. I'm not sure whose colony it is, but there's a colony city there in that crater, underneath that crater. So And there's two of them. That's Mars Colony 1 crater, and there's another one. Mars Colony's second Mars colony. Not sure what the species are. That's why I didn't say SSP, ICC. I just called it Mars Colony 1. And it's beside one of the ice caps, because the white stuff we're seeing is the ice caps.
And that's typically all of the ICC colonies are in the northern out regions to get away from the electrical storms. And was there another reason? Maybe the territories?
Yeah, well, they don't have issues with electrical storms anymore. That was like 20 years ago. They don't have that issue anymore. But most of it is in the north. The ICC bases that are in the north, northwest, basically. Because it also tells you longitude and latitude on the Google map. So I was able to tell that there's 11 ICC interplanetary corporate conglomerate bases towards the north on Mars, and Mars is subdivided as well. There's the SSP bases on Mars, there's the ICC bases on Mars, and there's the colonies of different species of what Adrian was said. I think he said the mantids.
Yeah, the mantoids.
Yes, so it's quite a group. It's groups of different humans and human colonies and different ET species colonies. So it's all subdivided as well, just like the moon is.
Well, are they all living together? Mantoids living next door to humans and reptilians? They eat together in the dining hall?
No, they don't eat together. They're separate bases and colonies. Sometimes the mantoids and the reptilians talk to each other with the human SSPs. Not with the ICC, because the ICC just wants everybody's tech. If you have something nice, they'll try to take it by force. So they don't really do any business with the ICC. They more do it with the secret space program, command operations with the Marines.
Okay. All right. Well, shall we go to the next image?
Sure.
All right. So here's the second one that you mentioned, Adrian. Looks like another crater there. About.
Let's see.
This is a bit south of maybe like halfway south from the equator to the Arctic.
A lot of experimentation. My lab's in there. They do a lot of experimentations. And they keep a lot of their ships there. Experimentation with DNA. And they also train some type of military force. I don't know what that is. That's what I'm picking up.
So we're probably talking about maybe clone super soldiers.
Yeah, I'm thinking super soldiers or Nazi, something Nazi super soldier. Yeah.
So any is it so humans or is it ET?
I don't think they're humans. Mostly a lot of clones, but alien clones.
All right. Ilana?
Well,
What do you think?
I think it's human hybrids, human and ET hybrids. It's mixed. They look humanoid, but they're not fully human. So I think it's humanoid ET hybrids that are in these bases.
What I was thinking.
Okay.
And again,
All right.
I couldn't pinpoint whether this is SSP or ICC. That's why I just put Mars Colony 2. I couldn't get a specific ping. Which group was responsible for this? That's why I just put Mars Colony 2.
Adrian, are you able to pick up which group is responsible?
Name those two again. ICC and what?
SSP.
SSP.
It was ICC and SSP.
Word ICC comes to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. They do a lot of genetic experimentation, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, because they're the ones with the advanced technology. They reverse engineer technology, they trade with other species, they have slave labor on Mars, and they have many bases.
Uh-huh.
So I was getting that there's a huge city complex on Mars Colony 2.
Oh, interesting.
That's why I called it a colony instead of a base.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the Umbrella Corporation had their hands there as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And INC also.
Yeah. Uh, it's incredible. I'm working off of my recall memory from, well, while I was stationed on Mars. I'm just working from memory recall for all of these bases. I've, do you know, up to yesterday, I had no idea that Google Earth actually has Mars and the moon. I thought it was just Earth, so I had no idea.
Wow.
I had no
Wow.
idea. Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I've never downloaded Google Earth. I had no idea how to use this, so I had to redo this. This is the enlarged images because the first time I did this, it was so small I could hardly read it. So I had to go back in my head and dig around again to just try to get these locations of these bases.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I don't think we even delved into it, but apparently you were stationed on Mars.
Yes, I was stationed
So
on Mars.
did they age regress you as well?
Yeah, I have a strong suspicion that I was age regressed on Mars before. So let me start from the beginning. I was a language specialist, and I was required to have to take genetic modification, so I would look like different ET species. As part to in order to participate in any of the Confederation or Federation meetings as a linguist specialist for translation and just recording data, recording the meetings. I had to look different. I couldn't just look as this. I had to genetically be modified and look like other ET species. I drew the line at being humanoid looking species. I said no to anything with 4 legs or 2 heads or anything exotic.
Hooves or horns?
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I I draw the line at looking humanoid. I don't mind being genetically tinkered with to look like another ET species that's humanoid looking. You know, different hair color, different skin color, different height. I don't
So,
mind that. I draw the line at looking anything other than a humanoid ET species. I draw the line at that. So,
wow.
um, yeah,
Yeah.
that prevented me from participating in some meetings, obviously, because I wouldn't want to look like anything other than humanoid species, ET species. So that's something that they did to me in these bases.
Wow, that's
Right.
interesting.
They probably could give you some kind of femto technology to cause you to shapeshift.
It was drugs.
Adrian, Adrian, can you mute your mic?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, oh, so you say it was drugs?
Yes, it wasn't some kind of a technology. It was drugs. It was intravenous drugs to change you on a genetic molecular scale. Literally change your epigenetics from the
Okay.
inside out, and it was temporary. It was like a couple of hours, and afterwards you would revert back to your human self. So
Did it hurt when you go through the transfer? Is it
no,
painful?
it's more of a shock because after 30 minutes you look at yourself in what resembles a mirror and you're like, oh my god, my skin is a different color and I'm 10 feet tall instead of 5'5". My hair is different and my eyes are
How?
different.
Yeah, but how could you grow from 5'5" to 10 feet tall? I mean, where do you get the mass to grow?
It's everything on a chemical molecular basis. Your DNA literally changes. They inject you with something and your DNA changes. And that allows you to change your appearance. Basically, it's not holographic technology. You're changed on the physical molecular scale. You're five
Yeah.
foot five, and now you're 10 feet tall. And you have different skin color.
And so if you went in there with a hologram, the other ETs will see right through it and it
Yes,
wouldn't
right
work.
through. No, it had to be changed on a molecular genetic scale. The physical me had to look like them in order to be even admitted and accepted into a meeting. They wouldn't accept this, what you're seeing now. They wouldn't accept me to go into the meeting unless I, took on the genetic modifications. And thank God it was temporary. If it was like permanent, I wouldn't agree to it. And
I hear you.
these guys, what they'd used to do to me is age regress me so I would look like 30 in my 30s. Half of my SSP service was being in my 30s when I was like 40, 50. I was constantly given drugs to keep me looking young.
Okay.
This cocktail, that cocktail, it's like every few other weeks I'd be injected with something else just to
And
keep
I
me
want
looking
to,
good.
yeah, before we conclude, I want to read a story about the, not right now because we still got some more images to go through, but I have an interesting story to share about someone who also has been age regressed, and he explained a little bit about the process of that. That might shed some light. It might help bring back some of your memories too. But let's go on here, if you don't mind, because we got a few more images here, and we just barely started. Okay, so we're looking at this Mars ICC base in Adrian. Hopefully you had a chance to look in there. Are you there, Adrian?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think is well, I mean, obviously ICC, but is there something else you could share?
There's multiple things going on in this base here. A lot of testings. I'm seeing a lot of like chemical testings. I'm also getting a lot of mind control stuff going on, and alien DNA testings, things like that. And I see a lot of caverns, a lot of caverns. There's also a cave in there as well. I see a cave.
All right. And this is near the equatorial region. So
Yeah, it is.
all right. Well, do you have any comments about this, Ilana?
I don't know what the cave represented.
Yeah, the base is on top beside the crater, and there's underground cave systems underneath it. Like I made a notation in the white. Beside the base are underground cavern systems where top secret labs are being housed. So it's underground. The base is on top, on the surface close to the crater, and the labs are under the crater, underground.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just wondering if you think if there's any activity of human activity on the surface, like traces of roads or anything, or maybe that's all covered up in these images.
Well, they use space rovers to travel around, so it's not really roads at all. It's more like it's rovers, so it's not roads. They travel in rovers.
Okay, so now we're looking at one of the largest manufacturing bases and laboratories, and this is 62 degrees north. So we're getting close. Okay, so this is probably the north right here because of the Arctic. So this is the north and that's south. All right. Looks like some kind of mountain, perhaps.
No, that's the base itself.
Oh, so there's like a huge dome.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's different. That's where I was stationed, at that base at the ICC. I don't know what I was doing in there, but it gives me the creeps to this day.
It's hard to get an idea of scale, like how many miles or kilometers that is. Do you have an idea how wide that is?
I have no idea, but it's huge. It's
Yeah.
lots of domes. It's huge. That's
It's
why I
big.
said one of the largest.
Adrian, are you picking up on anything on this one?
Mm, well, it almost looks kind of like a underground city. Um, but I'm picking up that there is secret areas in that base, the places that you can access. I see a lot of locked doors, big doors like locked, and I see like different laboratories. And like I said, they were using a lot of different types of mind control there for different projects, and that's kind of what happened to her. They were using different experimentations and projects.
So probably using slave labor.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of slave labor.
And there's no way to escape. I mean, where are you going to go? It's all desert. You're
Yeah,
stuck.
yeah, it's desecrated. Yeah,
All right.
I mean,
Ilana?
yeah, for me, that base, the reason why I was able to say it's one of the largest manufacturing and laboratories is because I have a feeling I was stationed there. That's the base where I spend most of my time in.
yeah, yeah. You
Um,
were.
and it brings a lot of sad memories because my health is very poor. Like, I have neurological issues, I have hemiplegic migraines with paralysis. So when I
Hmm.
have an episode, I can't think properly. I'm paralyzed and I'm basically incapacitated for an hour or two. So I wouldn't be surprised if what experimentally they're experimenting with ruins your health after you've finished your service contract with these guys. And I spent 60 years in the service, so for me, that's probably a lot of the good and the bad and everything in between at all of these bases.
How do you figure you spent 60 years? How? Well, I don't want to ask you how old you are.
I'm
um,
31. No problem. I'm 31, but I did a 60-year contract, service contract. I don't know how. Like I keep saying, they were age regressing me so I would look young constantly.
so
I
maybe
Wow.
you went back to like 1960. We're stationed there to, well, it would have been 1950 to 2010, something like that.
uh probably, yeah. I mean, I have I have the weirdest sensation that somehow they're able to alter timelines. That the
Yeah.
60 years, part of the 60 years might have been in a separate time frame timeline than what I'm currently living in. It's just
See
a
that?
suspicion. It's
Yeah.
hard to describe how that's possible. I'm 31 and yet I did 60 years with these guys.
Wow.
Adrian, you want to interject there? Anything you want to add?
Well, I just what that's something that I saw was the a lot of trip chairs that they're doing there, altering timelines, and I'm getting intuitively, I'm getting it has something to do with the INC securities. I don't know why.
Can you explain what INC Securities is? Because I've never brought it up on any of my shows before, and I'm sure Ilana probably doesn't know, or at least I don't know, and a lot of listeners don't know. What is that?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Um, some type of secret projects that they do, and they're contracted with some of these bases. But I am getting that it is a, like you say, corporation, but it's like it's a security system where they have secret agents, like secret things that they do. Like for an example, you have your Men in Black, and you have your super soldiers. Just it's a secret agent service, sort of like a security system. That's what I got from it, from what we saw in our sessions. What I
Yeah,
seen.
and it's probably the Nazi military contractor,
Yeah,
since that's a recurring theme. All right, well,
yeah.
let's go on, unless if anyone wants to interject, but I think this is probably good.
And can I just mention that I've never put these pictures out of these bases and the maps anywhere, not on my website, not on YouTube. It's the first time you guys are seeing this because I just finished it today.
Oh, wow. Well,
Wow.
thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
And I've sent it to Corey Good, and I've sent it to Randy Kramer and Brad Johnson. So these guys have this stuff. Now, how to verify where exactly it is and how true it is, that's the most interesting part with what we're doing with Adrian today.
Now, this is 1 degrees north. This is virtually right on the equator. Oh, at least the pin is, I guess, is probably what it is. And it's an 18,000 feet, so there's some kind of mountains there. Well, what looks like mountains. It probably isn't. Maybe Adrian, what you got any information about this?
Um.
Oh, it's inside the crater.
Well,
We're
no,
looking.
the base itself is right here, what looks like lines.
Right, are
And
these lines?
yes, and the research facility is inside the crater.
And I know it looks like there's a hole right here.
Yeah,
How strange, or a dome.
yeah, it's something special
That is
right down there.
like a ring. Hmm. I'm getting that it has something to do with, and I don't know, I'm just getting this intuitively, that it has to do with certain plans that they have. Like I'm getting like planning, like they get planning, they do things like they plan how they want their facilities to look like a lot of their plannings. And it's a research institution where they do a lot of research with alien DNA, and different types of alien creatures, different things like that. Um, I'm seeing like a giant dome in the center, and it goes in like a tunnel going down into the core, like in the center. There's like this dome that goes down. I don't know what that is. It goes into like a spiral, but it's interdimensional. Is what I'm getting.
So is there like trees, a park-like setting at the bottom of that dome?
Yeah.
Because it looks all brown unless that's been photoshopped by NASA.
Yeah. There's an underground city in there. Yeah.
So NASA would have photoshopped that to look brown.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'd be a green city. Or at least green with a city like...
Well, if you guys notice, there's a little walking man, the green, here. Oh,
Oh yeah,
I
how
see
about
that,
that?
now
What?
me
So we got
pointing.
trails.
Yes, they're giving you info in plain sight, what it looks like, you know.
That's interesting.
For the tourists.
Yeah, for the tourists, I wouldn't surprised if it had green space in it because it has the base on top, you know, and those lines, those weird lines on top, and then it has the crater and something inside the crater, and it has the green little men walking for a trail. Looks like that's the base. That's where the pin is. That's the base itself. Yeah.
And so what made these ridges? Is that a natural phenomenon?
No, it's part of the base installation.
It
It's
must
where,
be huge to have this line like that.
yes, it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
And you
know.
said all this stuff, this is all modern?
Yes, it's modern. It's
Looks like,
ICC, so they have the
looks like
tech
there's
to
something
do
going
it.
on over here too. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't speculate. I'm going by memory recall where these things are located. So
Okay.
and the features, like the geographical, I can recognize geographical features. Like you have to keep in mind, I've never seen this on Google Earth. I've never seen Mars before on Google Earth. I've just seen general pictures of Mars from way back, like just images on the internet. I've never seen this before. So to me, it's really special.
All right. So this is north over here. So here's the Arctic region. This is 62 degrees north, roughly. So
Very
I guess
dry.
this is probably. And these probably are maybe some kind of vegetation that they photoshopped to look black.
Yeah.
I mentioned that, and it's up here. Maybe there's it looks like some black something here, but that's probably that's supposed. I just thought, and you can kind of see it's a little bit green color hue here where
Yeah.
they didn't, and a little bit of green in there. So there's some plant life. Did it look like grassland
It
or
looked
just a
like a
desert scape?
it looked like a plain, like a grass plain of some sort. And I'm surprised there's like two lovely craters right beside the base. The base is in the middle, so I'm surprised they didn't do the base in the craters.
Is it like for protection reasons?
Maybe, I have no idea. Like usually they build these things in craters or beside craters. Like this is right here in the middle. That's where the base is, where the pin is. It's right in the middle. So it's quite different. I'm getting that this space is very different somehow because it's not in the craters. So there's something weird going on there. And it might be in a small vegetation
Yeah.
of some sort. And green space and greenery around it. Some
Well,
plants and forest maybe.
yeah, Adrian. So what are you picking up? What do you think is going on?
Hmm. Well, there's multiple things going on here, and somehow they're all connected to that main crater where you see the pin there. Um, and those are all, like I said, I'm seeing a lot of dimensions. They're all connected, but they're all connected to those different bases. They're like all spread out, and there's craters that are around it to protect it from other planets or whatever, or something destructive getting. They have it very protected.
Maybe like from other invading life forms, reptoids or insectoids.
Yeah, yeah, from other alien races.
And it's interesting that the base is not in the crater, not one of the smaller or larger craters. It's like right in the middle between the craters, like midway point.
Yeah,
So
it is.
it's somehow different. It's going away from the norm of how they build out these bases in the craters. So it's quite. I'm getting the feeling like
Like a
they're
giant map.
yeah, they're playing around with topography and geography where they're building these bases and locations and colonies
Hmm.
just to see where better locations are and how they can alter these bases so
Yep.
not all of the bases have the same build to them.
That's why I was saying planning out. Yeah, they plan it all out. Um, yeah, I mean that's what I saw, like a giant map. They're just planning it all out, basically.
Well, do you see what's going on in this base?
Going on in it,
Yeah, what's taking place down there?
they're opening up portals, and they got a lot of technology there. I don't see a whole lot of experimentations, but mostly a lot of technologies.
Probably portal to planet Earth, at least.
Yeah,
Or
The
the
jump.
moon.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess all these bases are connected with a tube system. Okay, so this is base 6, 8 degrees north, so this is near the equator. And there looks like some kind of, I don't know, that doesn't look natural right there, but
That's warfare, weapons testing warfare. I have a image for that too that explains what that is. Scarring.
okay, so Um, all right. Well, Adrian, what do you think's going on at base 6?
Okay. Well, it's very interesting because the designs that you see, you know, they almost look like series of different bases and tunnels. Um, First thing that came to me, it had to do with drug experimentation and black goo. I don't know why.
Yeah, so
Reptilian energy comes to me.
Ileana, so
And cloning.
did you ever see any black goo AI technology taking place down in these facilities?
Perhaps I'm getting a feeling that's blocked off in my memories. Um, I know that they experimented with a lot of different drugs and mixtures and cocktails. So if I'd care to speculate, I'd think probably yes. That's my
Right.
best guess that I'd have to say. I saw a lot of horrible things in these bases, so um, I think anything would go down there because they don't have any laws and regulations. And they totally violate human rights ethics. For them, there's no book for human rights ethics and laws, so they're pretty much a law unto themselves and they do what they want up there in these bases. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're experimenting with black goo and AI tech and some reptilians actually. Some of the Draco have bases on the moon. I wouldn't be surprised if some of it is down there on Mars as well in one of these bases. They're doing some kind of joint project with the reptilians, or at least with the reptilian DNA, hybrid DNA.
Okay. Now this is base 7, so we're looking at 20 degrees north, and north is, I guess this is north and that's south. So zoom in here. Looks like a plain area. The altitude is it's 800 feet. So maybe this was at the bottom of an ocean when there was an ocean at one time. Don't really see any other signs of habitation unless these don't look natural. It doesn't look like you wouldn't see two lines like that. If it was like wind erosion, it wouldn't cause marks like that. I don't think.
No, it's
I mean,
building
you can see,
experimentation. It's
yeah, you can see these look like more of a natural formation, but this is more just sporadic. So, and this maybe even some kind of complex down here. So Adrian, what are you picking up?
Well, I don't know if this makes sense, but the first thing that came to me was somehow that base got flooded. I see water. And then the other thing that I got was there was it was tied in with some type of military party. And I'm seeing a lot of secret weapons, things like that. And they were testing a lot of different types of technologies at this base. I don't know
All
where the
right.
flooding came in, but I see water in the base and nuclear technology as well.
So Ileana, so what do you recall about this facility?
I know it's very different from the standard protocol or where they're building. So I'm thinking that they might have had some experimental structures around the base itself and something went wrong. That's probably why it got flooded. And again, I'm going intuitively as well on this. because when I did the mapping, I had no preconceived intuitive foresight. I was just concentrating on mapping the locations themselves. So it's really different and off from the rest of the bases. Like you said, it's not natural. Those lines aren't natural on the formations. So I'm thinking it's some kind of a, maybe at one point even a water facility. They were experimenting with water of some sort, something on the base
Yeah.
to do with water and gravity.
Right. Okay, base 8, and this one is 6 degrees south, so it's just south of the equator. 12,000 feet. So it's an ICC base.
Yeah, right there
Well,
beside that line.
Wow.
Adrian, what do you think is going on there?
Um, well, it definitely has a history. This one does. Let's see. Okay. So, what comes to me is has something to do with may not make any sense, but I see tied in with the Chinese. Um, they had plans there with different experimentations. Not so much technologies in this one. They're not giving me any information on what those plans were, but I know it has something to do with the Chinese.
Okay, Ileana, what do
Look at
you
that.
think?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm thinking it's energy propulsion of some sort. Something to do with
Yeah.
energy propulsion and how gravity works and levitation. More like vehicles testing and stuff. Not genetic testing, more just like
Yeah.
how saucers fly, how ships fly, or gravity cars, something like that.
That's what I saw.
Because it's quite flat looking area, so it's not really. There's no crate. Well, there's no craters really too much around it. It's really flat. And
I
it's
don't
kind
see
of
any
in a
water.
yeah, it's kind of in a mountainous region. So it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's perfect places to test out craft and stuff and rovers.
Now, is this purple stuff water, or is this just been the water's been photoshopped? Is it?
I have no idea. I mean, I the thing is, I have no
Chemical.
idea.
Do you think there's any water, freestanding water on Mars
There's frozen
like
water
that?
deposits on Mars. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but not in the this is equatorial region, so but yeah. Okay, well, maybe it's just some fungus or some growth or something, but
It
okay.
looks interesting.
Yeah, it does.
There it is again,
Pretty.
but all right. So now this is 20 degrees south, a 20,000 foot elevation. So we're on the top of a ridge here. ICC base 9. And you can see all these little lines here. I guess probably more weapons testing.
Yes.
So I guess what did you say they're using plasma weapons or rail guns? Oh, that was Randy was saying rail guns, I guess.
They're using railguns, and that's just standard, like rifles and stuff. But they're using plasma cannons and plasma lasers to do their weapons testing, like heavier ground weaponry. I think that's what the scarring is from blast fire. They've probably detonated some nuclear technology there as well, because the scarring looks bad. That doesn't look like man-made. or natural human-made stuff like a city or anything that looks to me like scarring.
All right, Adrian, what are you picking up from base 9?
What's going on inside?
Yeah.
Um, I would have to agree with her that it's mostly nuclear. That was the first thing that came to me when I looked at it. Um,
So just a weapons testing facility.
yeah, I would
Makes
say
sense. All right.
a lot. Yep.
Okay, so this is base 10, 42 degrees north, altitude of 5,200 feet. So I guess it would be inside the crater, if you would even call that a crater.
That's very strange looking.
So what do you think all that black stuff is right around there? A shadow? Or are they photoshopping?
I think it's a really deep crater from a meteorite impact at some point or asteroid because it's really deep. Like that's one of the deepest craters on Mars. So I'm getting a feeling that the base itself is deep down in the crater. It's a deep crater.
And I noticed there's like these it looks like ink spots over here. Maybe there's some growth or something.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean,
That might be the same thing around here, around the crater.
yeah, it's quite prominent and it's quite weird looking. It's really a deep crater, so the fact that they built inside the crater, like, it's not a shallow crater, it's going really deep down. So I'm
Yeah.
it's weirder than anything else that I've seen. To me, it looks like a sinkhole, to tell you the truth.
And it looks like some kind of geometric form right over here.
Yeah.
Well, Adrian, what do you think is going on at this facility?
Uh, well, there's multiple things going on there, and they're all different facilities, of course. The first thing that came to me is there's some rituals going on there.
So,
Alien rituals. I don't know.
so this maybe it's in a mantoid base or reptilian base.
Yeah, I'd say reptilian.
Okay.
There's a monastery in there too as well.
Is this like a huge city inside there? Or,
Yeah.
and is it covered up in a dome or is it an underground facility?
Yeah, it's covered up in a dome, and there's different entrances in this one particularly.
So do you think there are like any humans down in here too?
Yes,
Other than the ones being kept for food?
they're doing sacrifices there too.
Okay, so us Earthlings probably would not want to have vacation over here.
No,
All right.
definitely gotta go.
I'm getting the feeling that it has to do something with the Dark Fleet as well. That's the humans in there, the Dark Fleet. Not
Yep,
primarily ICC. It's a mixture of ICC and Dark Fleet and reptilian energy.
yep, that's what I got. There's
Okay.
definitely a lot of rituals going on there.
All right. Well, moving on here. We still got some more images. All right. So this one is 15 degrees north, and it's looks like it's at the bottom of an ocean bed. What used to be an ocean. I don't really see too much artificial structures nearby. Although there's the walkers.
Floors.
So what do you think is going on here at base 11?
Well, to be honest with you, the first thing that came to me was like a um, different planet in itself, which I see a lot of green or plants or things that they're experimenting with mutation and plant mutation. I see a lot of plants in that base. And there is some water there too, as well. I see water.
Right.
But where's the water? The question on top, But I see a lot of water in the base and the tunnels. There's like...
Maybe there's like some underground aquifers.
That could be, yeah.
That didn't get evaporated off. Well, Ileana, what do you think?
Well, it looks like it was beside an ocean bed, so there still might be some remnants of ocean water left over, something to do with the water. Because it certainly looks like you were saying, it's a water feature. It was an ocean. It's a dry ocean bed. I'm thinking maybe the ocean did not completely evaporate, and they're doing water testing again, and maybe trying to grow stuff. Because again, it's another interesting location to choose to build your base. Because there's that one there, and there in the higher elevation, go a little bit to that side to the left, there's another base there, which was in another picture.
Yeah.
So it's two bases that are close together.
Yeah, and here's some of those lines. So you said there was another base. I think there was one like right over here. Is that what
Yeah.
you're just saying?
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
a little bit
Right.
that way, further to the left. It was left, more left.
Can you
upwards.
zoom in on that spot, James?
Over here?
Yeah. Something there. That's interesting.
Like maybe something going on right in that area.
Yeah. Right there.
It's like everything's intersecting in there. There's another intersection over here.
Those are
Whatever
tunnels
the
there.
heck that is.
Tunnels,
Probably
you
something
say?
here. Oh, so those are the tube Are these the tube tunnels here?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's tube tunnels.
What I saw.
And that's where they travel with the train, the maglev.
Yes.
Mhm.
And how fast do those trains go?
Let's say if you want to get from one point of Mars, like 30-40 minutes, and you're there, northern to southern hemisphere. Maybe an hour, 30 minutes to an hour tops.
So maybe Mach 1.8,
Yeah,
2 point.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, well, there's the weapons testing facility. It looks like we've seen. Is this the same one that we saw earlier?
Yeah, it's just a closer up image of
Okay.
it. And there's another one.
Lines. Okay.
The facility itself is on the part that's not scarred. The scarring is nuclear testing.
What are those little red boxes? The little red things.
They're features. It's marked off features that NASA put on Mars. It's marked off locations, geolocations.
Oh.
They don't mean to me there's like Mars Mound, Mars this, Mars that. They didn't really mean anything to me. That's why I did it in big letters and with a big pin so you could really see what we're looking at.
Oh.
So there's a testing facility right beside where the scarring is, and they've imploded weaponry there, and that's the second one. Looks like scratches of some sort.
And would that be the plasma weaponry?
Yeah.
That does that?
Yeah, it's like laser burn. You know, like a chafe burn when you get when you shave?
Yeah.
except with plasma fire.
Well, can you give us an idea of scale? Like how long are these scratch lines?
More than a football field. You know, like you have your football field, larger than
Oh,
that, like two
wide?
football fields. Yeah, long and
Yeah.
wide, like huge, like two football fields together.
So why would they need weapons that powerful? What are they trying to destroy?
Well,
Spaceships?
yeah, sometimes you have to keep in mind that the solar system has many different confederations and federations of ET species that are in the solar system alone. And sometimes reptilians also, the Draco come visiting, so they shoot them down on a regular basis. So they're doing weapons testing on Mars. They're still doing it.
Yeah. And
And
this
it,
is at 29 degrees north.
yeah, and it sometimes it misfires too. So they have accidents. They've had some accidents, obviously, or from too much testing on the planet.
And I want to mention that the reptilians and mantoids are typically in the equatorial regions, where the human personnel is in the northern regions, unless that's changed.
No, it's still pretty much the same.
All right, now we're looking at the moon, and this is 25 degrees north. It's deep in the bottom of this crater. Something, okay, a Dark Fleet primary base, and there looks like some kind of, I guess that's, I don't think that's a structure,
No.
main structure, but okay. Well, Adrian, what are you picking up here? What's going on in this crater?
First thing that came to me was a maze. When you go into the base, it's like some type of maze. I don't know what the maze represents, but this is like this is their base, the Dark Fleet's base, and they are. It's like their main base. In other words, that's where they go. Where they go to their council. One of their missions.
Okay. Well, so Ileana, have you been at this base?
I have a feeling I haven't been at that base because it's in the. I think this is the dark side of the moon. It's the dark side of the moon. I don't know why it's so illuminated. Like, this part is more white than the rest of the grayscale, and that's how it looks like on Google Earth as well. So it has this running line of color somehow through these two craters. It's weird. Maybe it's map distortion or something, but it's quite interesting. I haven't been on that base, but I know I have a feeling it's on the dark side of the moon, and it's the only Dark Fleet base that's on the moon. Only one of them on the moon.
Right. So this is the crater right next to it, I believe. So this was Lambert. Okay, so we just moved over to this other crater, and that looks like some kind of pyramids or something over there.
Yeah.
And you can see there's a scratch right there. So somebody maybe doing some weapons testing there. Another one here. So this one is again at the bottom of the craters.
Mm-hmm.
Are you picking up anything, Adrian?
Well, a lot of their ships are there. They put a lot of their ships there in their craters. They have a council in there they connect with. A lot of secret rooms, a lot of secret areas on the base that that I can't go into or I can't see. And like you said, a lot of testings, a lot of weapon testings.
Right. Ileana, you have anything else you want to comment about this facility?
I think it's
I don't
pretty
know what
much
the name
deep.
is.
It's pretty much deep in the crater, and it has protective shielding around the crater, both for the Dark Fleet base and the ICC primary
Well, I
moon
can
base.
see it.
And that can the shielding protect from remote viewers as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so that would probably affect Adrian's ability.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's affecting
You
my ability. I'm just being blocked.
and you would think all these facilities would use that technology.
Not all of them. The Dark Fleet are very paranoid. So they have a lot of shielding. They have this electromagnetic shielding around their Dark Fleet cities on planets and their bases. So that's why I'm getting the feeling that this is the same on the moon for the Dark Fleet one. And
Yeah.
this one, the ICC one, I wouldn't be surprised if they do business together from time to time.
Do you think these bases are very luxurious looking inside? Are they plain Jane, like a looks like a submarine ship, or what do you think it looks like inside these
Well,
facilities?
I think they you have your main bunk rooms where just low level personnel stay, so it's nothing special. So it's two, three bunks in one room. You can share one bathroom. You have your more luxurious crew quarters for higher personnel, higher ranking personnel, and then you have your VIP sections, quarters where diplomats come to stay, where the admirals, the generals stay, the general, the admiral, VIPs when the reps come from the corporate conglomerates from the companies, they stay in the VIP quarters, and that's like a huge room or one or two bedroom room with a luxurious bathroom. They have sonic showers. They have bathrooms that they don't use water. Water's at a premium. You're lucky if you're going to get a water shower in the basic crew quarters. They do have some small water showers in the VIP sections quarters. The bathrooms are interesting. Basically, it's not your usual bathroom. You sit down on it. You do your business, then the business evaporates, literally. It gets recycled. There's some kind of a beam that recycles the bio waste. And then the toilet lid itself raises. There's some kind of a beam or a steam technology. The toilet lid raises and it cleans your bum, basically. So there's no toilet paper, some kind of a beam, sonic beam or a steam beam is what I'm thinking. And it sprays some type of a mist and it cleans your bottom and your genitals. And then you some kind of an air dry, and then you get off the toilet and you're good to go. And the toilets are self-cleaning. There are these little laser pointers inside the washroom, and they're on a programmed cycle where they emit light energy, and it cleans the bathroom, desanitizes the bathroom, releases some kind of a liquid as well with the laser beam, and it cleans the washroom, cleans the toilet bowl of the washroom. So and
Wow.
it's small, it's compact, and sonic showers are basically it's vapor, it's sonic vapor showers for the basic crew quarters, and the washrooms are larger in the VIP quarters, and they have water showers as well, but they're very small stalls, so you don't get a huge shower, basically where you could sit around in the water for half an hour or something. You get just your basic shower unit stall. You get in, you have like 20 minutes of rationed water and get out, even in the VIP quarters, because water is at a premium in space.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Dang.
So yeah, there's so much more we could discuss, but I mean, let's see. How many more images are? Oh, okay. A couple more.
Yeah.
So moon mining operations. And this one is 19 degrees south. So Adrian, what are you picking up here?
There's an ice capsulation over that. And I see like ice. Um, and there's another alien race that goes there. Looks like, I don't know, some type of other alien race from like ice people or something. I don't know. That's what I see. It's very cold there, but it's ice capsulation and water. And I see like a lot of bases of different dormants and brooms. This one's a little bit different. I didn't see any kind of maze or anything like that. But there's a lot of bases that are in there too, in the basement. There's a lot of basements.
So this is all like a giant ice cap.
Yeah, like an ice cap. Yeah.
Is that what they call helium-3? Is anybody, Ileana, do you know?
No,
what
I
this
don't
might
know. I have no idea, but it's very lucrative. It's a lucrative mining operation that goes on there. I don't know what type of mining. That's why I didn't put any specifics. I'm not sure what kind of mining they're doing, but it's lucrative and it's huge. It's huge industry over at that area for the SSP, and I'm not sure which specific SSP group it is, so that's why I kept it very general.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, this looks illuminated here, and then all the way over here, there's something illuminated as well, like almost like a city or
Yeah,
something
Yeah.
on.
There are cities. I saw cities.
A little bit here and little things here.
yeah.
All right.
It's quite interesting, and it's a very grayed out area, so it's mining. Like I got a strong and like a strong energy like right now that it's mining. And that's
Well,
why
you can see like some scars right here, but they're all going out in a certain direction, like
yeah.
regular commute pattern.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. I know it's not very luxurious looking, but it's a mining operation, so I'm like, okay, I'll mark it off. It's a huge spot.
Okay.
It's document to me this is like documentation. That's the only proof I have of where I've been and what I've seen. Or what I've seen on the maps when I was in the secret space program service. Because I've seen a lot of terrestrial and non-terrestrial mapping of these locations, so it's very interesting to me. I thought I'd try to replicate it to the best of my memory recall.
All right. So what we're looking at here is 40 degrees south, and it's deep in the bottom of this crater. And I can't tell what that is. Maybe some kind of pyramid or some structures down here. Quite substantial in size. The bottom of Tycho crater. A moon space landing port. Who knows? Maybe these little dots here could be like some saucer-shaped craft.
Yeah, and there's also a large research facility down there.
Something over here. Maybe over
Yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm. It's huge.
And it does have a research facility. Like I marked it off in white.
Do you recall actually being at this facility?
No, I recall doing I was strictly at Lunar Operations Command mostly. I didn't explore the moon that much. It was more Mars that I explored, and I went to various Mars bases. So the moon I know less about, but somehow I think I did look at many maps while at Lunar Command. So that's how I remember all of this stuff. How I was able to map it on the moon.
Well, is there a gravity field that's similar to Earth, or is it a lot lighter, or
Um,
do you,
I,
when you're
I
on the moon?
I think it's very dense gravity. It's harder to walk around. I think they wear gravitational boots just to stay on the ground of the moon. Because remember, the moon, it gives off a lot of gravitational energy. Because the surface of the moon is rock, But inside the moon, it's something quite dense. It's many different materials. The moon, if you may have heard, the moon is an artificial satellite. It's not a natural orbiting satellite. So it's made out of a lot of different materials inside the moon itself. It's camouflaged to look like rock on the surface, but inside it creates a lot of gravitational pull. It emits a lot of energy that they're
And
not sure how that comes about.
maybe some say it's hollow. Another theory is there's some structures on the moon that are responsible for erasing all people's memories when they incarnate. That's another theory. But okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're looking at the spaceport docking facility. This one is 77 degrees south. So this must be the Arctic regions on the bottom of the moon. So
Yeah.
you can see some kind of lines, clearly. Are these those tubes, or is this weapons testing?
Not tubes
What?
and not weapons testing. More like roads or something. Maybe landing pads. Because it's a.
Adrian, what do you? Oh, Adrian, what do you think these lines are?
Lines?
Yeah. What caused them?
Something nuclear.
And this almost looks like pyramids or some massive buildings.
Yeah, they are pyramids.
So it's interesting that they'd have a spaceport, docking port beside it. But you know, it makes sense because that's beside Lunar Operations Command and it's beside that research facility. So
Oh,
we're looking at the same crater around here. That's Lunar Operations Command and that's the research facility. So
Okay,
that
so
makes
now
sense.
we're looking at the research lab and facilities. Also on the south side of the moon. So we're okay. So we were looking right down here. Now we're in this crater. Adrian, are you able to pick up on what might be going on down here?
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Oh, they're using some kind of experimentation on people. I'm seeing like people that are. I'm seeing deformed people. I don't know why. Um, it's they're doing research on genetics. Research.
You think that might be that Alpha 45 Niner base that TN told me about, where they took Nathan?
Yes. Yes. Most definitely. Yep.
Or it could be in that area. I mean, that was probably a reptilian facility. It's a secret space. So this is probably not a rep. Is this a reptilian facility, or maybe there are reptilians down there?
I don't see reptilians. I just see people being experimented on. But you could be right. Yeah. I mean, they could be messing or dealing with reptilian DNA. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ileana, what do you think is going on down there?
They're definitely doing genetic experimentation in that facility, and they're working on the medical pods, holographic medical pod technology in that research lab facility for age regression, for making people look younger. So they're testing different kinds of medication and different types of healing technology at that research facility because it's like what a few kilometers away from Lunar Operations Command. So I'm not shocked that they have a research facility right next door to them, and it's SSP, it's Lunar Operations Command. facility as well.
Right. And do
I
you have
see
any idea?
animals too. I was just saying, I see animals too. I don't know where the animals are coming from, but they're experimenting with the animal DNA.
Is it well? Is there any animal life or any life forms on the moon itself? Wild life forms that can survive, other than bacteria, simple bacteria, is something more complex? Creatures, insects.
Not that I've heard of or seen. It's more on Mars. There's insects and
Okay.
there's animals on Mars, but not as far as I've heard about the moon or seen on the moon. I didn't really go out much on the moon. I stayed mainly inside Lunar Operations Command, and I might have had a tour of that research facility next door.
I want to comment. So we were looking down the last slide. We were looking down here. I mentioned there were some pyramids. You can see there's some more. I mean, that looks like a pyramid right there and right there. These are massive.
Yes.
They're big.
Yeah, and it's
Sacred geometry.
yeah, and we have to keep in mind that they're saying the moon is a sanctuary of some sort for many different ET species, and it's like sacred
Oh,
ground.
So what is this? Is this what you see on the base?
Yeah, maybe something I saw on one of the bases.
Okay,
It
but
looks like
they
wow.
that's
probably have. Oh, I'm sorry, flipping around here. Okay, so this is the space station, the
yes,
ICC.
yes, that's one of their more basic primitive stations. And that's
They
from
got
The
ships around,
Expanse.
James.
Yeah, that's from the movie The Expanse, actually. Those two images.
Oh,
That that's
that
what
almost looks
the
like Starfleet Command.
yes. Well, that's the orbiting space stations, the research orbiting space stations they have around Earth.
You
Stripped
really think they're
down.
that big?
Yeah, they
I mean,
are
it
that
seems to be
big.
like 2 miles long.
Yeah, they're double deckers basically with 3 to 4 decks. And this is a simple one. That's not the high end one. That's lower SSP.
How long would it take them to build something that complex?
I think about 2 years. It's
And
not
they
that
have
hard
they
to
have
do.
space docks somewhere out there
Yep.
that can.
You can space dock to that thing itself. Ships can space dock to it. They have around Mars many space docks where these stations are built in parts.
Wow.
Then they're put together, they're spliced together.
So we're looking at some. I guess this is supposed to be what you saw on Mars when
Yes,
these.
yes, it's a greenhouse. Basically, it's a glorified hydroponics greenhouse, basically. And that's what the domed cities look like. If you can zoom in a little on that.
Do they actually have this shape? The what's this octagon?
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
Some of them do. Yeah,
pentagon.
yeah. They have a lot of industry going on and industrial stuff. They're building stuff on Mars industrially, so it's that looks like an
Mm.
industrial complex to me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And of course this is probably. I mean, they had these domes on the cities in Atlantis
Yes.
before that was destroyed anyway in the
Yeah.
cataclysm. So this what an ancient Martian city would look like, or is this what it currently looks like now?
More of the ancient first original colonies on Mars. That's what it looked like.
But there would have been vegetation
Yes.
back
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
trees, who knows,
Yes.
forests.
Yeah. And this is like a
Okay,
depiction. Oh, that's what
that
I look like. The Star
you're asking.
Traveler. Yeah.
Did somebody channel this, or did you draw this yourself?
I drew none of these images. They're images from the internet that I'm energetically drawn to, that are from my memories. Like, I can see in my memory what I looked like and find similar images to that. So none of this is my imagery. I'm
All
just,
right.
I'm an intuitive empath, so I can connect with energetically with information and imagery to represent
Okay.
what I see and experience.
So my last question that I have is, will Mars be healed one day? Because I know you had some information about doing the regeneration, with the terraforming of the planet.
Yeah, the one of the councils, ET human-looking councils, they call themselves the Zarian Council. At some point in the future, when everything is settled down and we've had disclosure, they're planning to come in with their ships and their technology and terraform Mars. So it would have a full atmosphere, it would have full vegetation, oceans, lakes, animals again, remove the scarring from the surface, remove some of the radiation from the nuclear blasts, because that's still there. Certain parts you can't even go into still.
Wow.
Yeah.
And will they also do that to some of the other planets like Venus, or I guess you can't really do that at Jupiter, but maybe some of its moons?
You can basically retroform and terraform any planet you want. You just have to have the proper molecular codes to do it. Because
Yeah.
every planet has special codes for how it would be terraformed. So, and if you have those codes, you can basically terraform any planet. Doesn't matter if it's gaseous or if it's rocky planet. You can terraform anything if you have the right technology to do it with.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, I know it's getting late. I mean, and then I had this other story, so maybe I need to save this for another time. It looks like I might need to bring you back on here
Okay.
again. This is a very interesting story, but I know the listeners are probably a little bit overloaded already, and I don't want to overload you even more with even more stuff. So we're gonna have to save this for another time.
Sure.
But so Adrian, do you have any other questions or comments you'd like to share or ask Ileana before we wrap this up? Did we lose you, Adrian?
I think we might have lost him, yeah. Yeah, we lost him. The call has ended.
Okay.
That's
Uh,
okay.
Maybe I'll turn my screen off.
Yeah. Let's see if that helps.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I think he may have disconnected a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But he's very good. He was spot on with all of these bases and stuff, the information that he remote viewed and provided for us. I think even if it's just us that did it today, if nobody else corroborates this, he's verified some very interesting points about the
Okay.
basis and what we did today with the mapping stuff. So he's for me, he's spot on. Genuine information that he shared with us.
Yeah. All right. Well, wherever you are, Adrian, thank you for sharing, and also thank you, Liana. And of course, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put your website link on the description
Sure.
area so people can check you out,
Yeah.
and also visit supersoldiertalk.com to learn more about super soldiers, my labs, and of course the Dark Fleet and so on. We try to provide a lot of more sources of information, not just these videos are on there. And also, please visit neologicaltech.com to help me out, support me financially so I can continue doing this work. And please join us again, Ileana. I mean, this was really good information, and maybe we can try to, I don't know if we get Corey Good, maybe, or Randy Kramer could join us.
Yeah.
Andronicus, I don't know if you're familiar. You probably know who Andronicus is.
Andronis?
Yeah, okay.
He's very picky about what you call him. His name is Andronis. It's
Okay.
Brad Johnson who channels his ET self, who's called Andronis from Sirius.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, well, so thanks everybody for listening in, and until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.